Hello and welcome back to the tapestry weaving series here at Textile Indie. If you're new here, welcome in. If you're an old friend, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. We are working on a tapestry series and I have previous videos on the beginning, setting up your loom, setting up the warp, and weaving this much of the tapestry. So check the description below for all of that information and all the links and all that good stuff. If you want to print off this PDF version of the tapestry design, you can find that on my website, textileindie.com, on my tapestry weaving page, and I'll have that in the description below as well. For today's project, we're going to be doing weft interlock, where when our two colors come together, they're going to cross over each other. You can do this by weaving multiple colors at the same time, and we'll go over that as we get started. For this tapestry, I'm going to start with this angle here in the corner, and you can come in and mark your warp with a permanent marker to ensure that your design ends up on the warp and you can follow it from the warp, or you can have it on the paper set behind your warp. Because my warp is wider than my design, I'm going to come in and put the design lines on my warp threads, like so. And now these will be my guidelines to follow as I'm weaving. This first section I'm doing in this yellow gold color, and you can start out by using your shed sticks if you have them set up to get these first rows in place. And I'll start like this, and then I'm going to set up my green, which is the next section over. And I'm weaving towards the same direction, so they're going back in the same direction here. And this tail I'll tuck underneath the warp here, and then I'll do the purple, and then madder root will be on the end here. So I'll tuck this into the corner. So now the tails are sitting to the back of my warp, and I have some warp threads here like this one and this one here in between the colors that haven't been caught. So when I go pass back with these colors, I need to make sure I loop around that warp thread. So I'll come in and catch this edge of this warp thread, like so. But I'm actually going to weave back from the right side over so that I can catch the loops in all of my turns. So I'll come in for this purple section, and loop back, and lower this one down and bring the green one over so that I can create a loop where these crisscross, like so. And now with these crisscrossed, I'm going to weave with the green. Weave the green back towards the gold color. So I have my crisscross, and I'm catching that warp thread that's in between the two colors. And I'll bring that crisscross, and don't pull too tight because you want that looseness that we're trying to maintain to keep the structure of the tapestry straight. Mine has started to pull in a little bit in the tension of building the curves or building shape in your tapestry. It's really easy to start to see that curve in, and that did happen with mine. So now again with the green, I'm going to cross over the yellow or the gold and then send the gold across. Like so. And now I'll go back, starting with the gold. And moving my way across to the right as I go. And I'm going to add some ease in the corner here to bring that edge out. I'm going to catch this one last warp thread that I missed right here. And now what you can decide is how dramatic of an angle you want to create. So I'm going to probably do about 4 passes or 2 loops per warp thread as I build up this angle, and I can adjust that as I go to ensure that my angle is the shape that I want or as dramatic as I want it. So here with this yarn, I'm going to hold this back because I've already done my loop. I'll come in and weave the green section now. And pack everything nice and tight as you work. And then I'll weave this purple. And then here with the madder root on this end, I'm going to catch this second pass with the purple. So crossing over and then going back the other way. And then I'll go back with the purple. And then crisscross the green. And go back with the green. Making sure to catch all the warp threads that you need to in between the colors. Now I'll crisscross over the yellow or gold, like so. So you can see our shapes starting to meld together, but also form the angle. So we have the lower portion of our angle, or diagonal, I'm going to shift over one warp thread for each color as I go back towards the right and start to stair step towards the left. So when I pick up these warp threads for the gold, I'm going to go one warp thread short of what I did previously. I'm skipping this warp thread right here and going around this warp thread. And then this guy, my green, is going to go one warp thread further than it would have. So the pattern that we're creating is obviously diagonals, and we're doing that by weaving the warp interlock when we're passing from the right to the left, and then weaving across from left to right, just in plain weave across, leaving our bundles of yarn here on top of the tapestry. And then again, when we pass from right to left, going across, making sure we get that interlock connection by passing the yarn you're weaving with over the next color, under and around like that, so that the color itself, the color you were weaving with, lands on top. If you pass it the other way, what happens is you may end up with a little yellow dot or a little colored dot in the midst of your green or purple. If your overlock sections where you're wrapping the two colors over each other in order to turn in the other direction, if they're starting to get bulky, you can start to do every other one and not create as many overlocks. The reason you would do overlocks in a tapestry is when you're wanting to join two colors together and create more of a shaded effect, or have the edges blurred closer together. When you create a stair step weave where you're jumping up one warp at a time, you create more of kind of a staggered look. So it's just another way to join your shapes together and to shade when you're working in more complex tapestry designs. Now I'll continue working in this manner, crisscrossing the joints at each angled line and continuing to build up that diagonals with the crisscross or the interlock of my weft. Continue building that until you get to the top or as tall of a section as you want, and then we'll come back and talk about how it looks. When you're finished with the diagonals, it should look something like this. I've built up my diagonals, grabbing some of the rows and interlocking them, and then doing stair step on some of the rows to lessen the bulk. And you can see I have some funky edges here where I picked up the wrong sections, but overall, the general idea is here. And you can see here I have a few funky bubbles in my joints where my overlock or my interlock I didn't pull quite hard enough as I was packing, and so I ended up with a little bit more of a bubble in those spots in my edges. That's the basics of doing diagonals with interlock technique, and also using the stair step technique we used in the angle weave down here. I hope you do this process in your tapestry so you can kind of get an idea of what that technique is like, and finish this section of your tapestry cartoon. Next week we'll be working in circles, so doing a background with a circle in the center to finish off the top of our tapestry. And because my angle piece ended up so large, I am going to be needing to shift my warp on my loom, and I'll go over how to set that up and do that in my next video. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Next Saturday should be publishing, so come back for that. Check the description below for all of the tools and materials used in this video and in setting up your tapestry loom in general. I have a whole page of resources on my website, textileindy.com, and that is linked in the description below, including all of the videos that are in this series previous to this video. I hope you're enjoying tapestry weaving along with me, and I hope to see your finished product. You could tag me at textileindy on the socials or share in the community tab here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next week with another installment of the tapestry weaving series. Until then, happy weaving. Bye.